ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां षजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। 95th class today. You can repeat Prarthana Shloka. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum.
Vasudevendra Yogindram
Tattvabodha Jnanapradam Gurum
Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate.
Mumukshunam hitarthaya
Tattvabodha Vidhiyate.
Tattvabodho Vidhiyate.
Tattvabodho Vidhiyate.
स्थूल शरीर अभिमानी
स्थूल शरीर अभिमानी
जीवनामकं
जीवनामकं
ब्रह्म प्रतिबिंबं भवति
ब्रह्म प्रतिबिंबं भवति
स एव जीवः प्रकृत्या स्वस्मात् ईश्वरं भिन्नत्वेन जानाति अविद्या उपाधिः सन् आत्मा जीव इति उच्यते। माया उपाधिः सन् आत्मा ईश्वरः इति उच्यते। एवं उपाधिभेदात्
आदिवेदात्
जीवेश्वर भेद दृष्टिः
जीवेश्वरभेददृष्टिः
यावत् पर्यन्तं तिष्ठति
यावत् पर्यन्तं तिष्ठति
तावत् पर्यन्तं
तावत् पर्यन्तं
जन्म मरणादिरूप संसारः
जन्ममरणादिरूपसंसारः
न निवर्तते
न निवर्धते
तस्मात् कारणात्
तस्मात् कारणात्
न जीवेश्वरयोः
न जीवेश्वरयोः
भेदबुद्धिः स्वीकार्या
भेदबुद्धिः स्वीकार्या
ननु साहङ्कारस्य किञ्चिज्ञस्य जीवस्य
ननु साहङ्कारस्य किञ्चिज्ञस्य जीवस्य
निरहङ्कारस्य सर्वज्ञस्य ईश्वरस्य
निरहङ्कारस्य सर्वज्ञस्य
तत्त्वमसीति महावाक्यात्
तत्त्वमसीति महावाक्यात्
कथम् अभेदबुद्धिः स्यात्
कथम् अभेदबुद्धिः स्यात्
उभयोः
उभयोः
विरुद्धधर्माक्रान्तत्वात्
वृद्धधर्मात्मात्
इति चेत्
इति चेत्
up to this we saw we are discussing the last line of the text, which presents the objection raised by the Shishya. When the Guru said, Jiveshwarayoho Veda Buddhihi Ukta Karanat Na Svikarya, the Shishya still, in spite of the Karanam stated by the Guru, he had a doubt and therefore he raised an objection. This is a samvada. This is a dialogue between the Shishya and the Guru. The teaching is always in the form of a dialogue. It is not a monologue. It is not only the teacher speaks, the student listens. It is teacher teaches, the student raises question, doubts, and clarifies. That's called samvada. As it is in the Gita, Arjuna raises a question and Bhagavan Krishna answers. The whole Gita is in the form of the dialogue only. The elaboration of the teaching is given. That's why you find Bhagavan Uvacha, many shlokas are there for Bhagavan Uvacha. Arjuna Uvacha, only few shlokas, because Shishya has only the questions. And the teacher, Bhagavan, he elaborates to make the student understand. So therefore, it is a samvada, dialogue between the teacher and the student. So here the student, the Shishya, who was listening to the teaching, the Upadesha of the teacher, he raises an objection or a doubt. Then he heard the teaching, Jiveshwarayoho Veda Buddhihi Na Svikarya. Nanu, the word Nanu, that line is the statement of the student, objection of the student. Nanu, the word stands for objection. Therefore, it is not the Vakya of the Guru, it is the Vakya of the Shishya. So, therefore, here rises Nanu. Excuse me, sir, I have a question, I have an objection. The student having been listening to the teacher, the teaching previously, teacher talked about Vyashti Jiva and Samashti Ishvara and the different attributes of both the Jiva and Ishvara also have been presented. Different attributes. In fact, having different attributes is not a problem, but having totally opposite attributes, that's a problem. And that is what made the student raise this objection. Having different attributes, still two things can be abheda. There need not be difference between the two in spite of different attributes. But here, Jiveshwarayoho Viruddha, totally opposite attributes. Between Jiva and Ishvara, the attributes which are there for them are opposite to each other. Jiva and Ishvara as opposite attributes. Viruddha akrantatva, dharma akrantatva. Dharma is attribute, guna. Therefore, it is not possible to have abheda buddhi between Jiva and Ishvara. This is the objection, a valid objection on the part of the student. So, any thinking rational student will raise this question. As I said, having different attributes is not a problem, but having totally opposite attributes, that triggered this question in the mind of the student. So therefore, to say that Jiva and Ishvara, between Jiva and Ishvara, that there is no difference, they are one and the same, how this can be accepted? It's not that student just raises the objection, raises the question and stops. He substantiates his objection. How he himself presents the attributes of both Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva is sahankaraha. Jiva is ahankarena sahavartate iti sahankaraha. Jiva is has got ahankara. Limited. Jiva is limited. It's got ahankara. And Jiva is kinchit nyaha. Agankara is Jiva has got abhimana with this shariram, with the periphery of this gross body. Up to the periphery of the gross body has got abhimana. With regard to this body, the limited body, the mind and senses, all are limited. With regard to that, he has got ahankara, abhimana. And Jiva is kinchit nyaha. The first attribute is sahankara. The second thing is kinchit nyaha, kinchit janati. Kinchit means something. He knows something. Something means not everything. That's why something. Only little. He has got little knowledge. This he has got limited knowledge. He may have some knowledge about everything, but the knowledge is limited only, something. So therefore, why he has got limited knowledge? Because the buddhi of Jiva is limited. The buddhi has got the capacity. It has got limited capacity. Therefore, his knowledge is limited. Therefore, he cannot be all knowledge. He cannot have total knowledge. He doesn't have knowledge of everything. Therefore, he is alpajnaha. Alpam janati. Alpajnaha. Instead of alpajnaha, here the student says kinchitnyaha. Kinchit janati. He knows something. So, Jiva is sahankaraha and Jiva is kinchitnyaha, alpajnaha. And this Jiva is addressed as Tattvabodha asi. You are that. Tvam is you. We know Yushmat Shabda. Takarantaha Yushmat Shabdaha Trishulingeshu Samana Rupaha. Tvam, Yuvam, Yujam, Madhyama Purusha. Tvam. Tvam is Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam. So Tvam, you. You means referring the teacher or the Shastram referring to the listener, the student. Here the student. Tvam, you. Asi, you are. Asi also we know. Asdatu, asti santi, asi, madhyama purusha, ekavachanam, asi, tvam, asi, you are what? Tat, you are that. Tat referring to Ishvara. This Jagat Karanam, Brahma, Ishvara, Bhagavan. Tat tvam asi. Tvam tat asi, you are that. So you is equated to that. That means Ishvara, Jagat Karanam, Brahma. How can the Jiva who enjoys these limited attributes, how can this Jiva be equated to Ishvara? That is the objection. And he presents the Ishvara Dharma also. Ishvara is Nirahankaraha. Ishvara doesn't have Ahankara. At all, if he has Ahankara, is Ahankara. He has got Ahankara with his Jagat. The entire Jagat is his body, Shariram, Virat, Ishvara. So the entire world, Jagat is its Shariram. Therefore, everything is Ishvara. Therefore, where is Ahankara? When everything is there, there is no Ahankara. When you exclude some certain things, when you include only something over which you have Abhimana, that is Ahankara. As a Jiva has got Abhimana with this body, mind, senses. What about Ishvara? It doesn't have Ahankara. Therefore, Nirahankaraha. And being Ishvara is Jagat Karanam. Therefore, he knows everything. Sarvam Janati. Therefore, Sarvajnaha. He must be all knowledge. Otherwise, how can he be the creator of this Jagat? Because he is the Karanam, he is the Jagat Srashta. Therefore, he must be knowing the entire Jagat. Karana Jnanam. Jagat is Karyam. Karanam is Bhagavan. So, therefore, he knows the entire Jagat. So, therefore, Sarvajnaha, Sarvam Janati. And he is the cause of everything. Sarva Karanatmakaha Ishvaraha. Ishvara is the Karanam. Therefore, the one who is in the form of the Karanam of the entire Jagat, he must be Sarvajnaha. This is the Viruddha Dharma Akranta. Tat Akrantatva, because of having this the status, opposite status, opposite attributes. Jiveshwara Yoga, between the Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva and Ishvara have got opposite qualities, being endowed with the opposite qualities. Viruddha Dharma Akrantatvat. Tasmat, therefore, Tasmat, Jiveshwara Yoga, Katam Abeda Buddhi Syad. How can there be Abeda Buddhi? Teacher says, Veda Buddhi na svikarya. How can there be Abeda Buddhi when there are opposite attributes? That is the objection. How can it be accepted that there is no difference between Jiva and Ishvara? Why? The reason is both have got opposite dharma. Now, Tattvam Asi iti Tattvam Asi. It is the Mahavakya. Shruti says, it's Mahavakya presented by Shruti, Shastra. Shruti is the Pramana. Shruti is, the Vakyam is Shruti Vakyam, Pramana Vakyam. Therefore, how can Shruti say something which is contradictory? Tattvamasi iti the Vakya of Chandogya Upanishad. Tattvamasi. It's called Mahavakyam. There are many Mahavakyams in the Upanishads. One of the famous Mahavakyam is Tattvamasi. Mahavakyam, great sentence, great equation, great sentence. The meaning, literal meaning of the word Mahavakyam means is a great sentence, but the sentence is very small. Tattvamasi. It is not in terms of the size, but in terms of the depth of the meaning. That is by Mahavakya. Akhandarthabodhaka Vakya. That is called Mahavakya. Tattvabodha Vakya. Mahavakya. There are 4 Vedas we know. 4 Vedas. And therefore from each Veda there are 4, from each Veda there are each Mahavakyam. There were 4 familiar or known or famous Mahavakyams are there. It is not that each Veda has got only one Mahavakyam. It is not like that. There are many Mahavakyams in each Upanishad. There are many Mahavakyams in the Upanishads of all the Vedas. But there are 4 Mahavakyams which are very famous. Like here the Mahavakyam Tattvamasi, which is from Chandogya Upanishad. Shankara Bhagavatpada, when he established Advaita Mat in each corner of India, Bharatavarsha, 4 corners, north, south, east and west, he assigned each mat one Mahavakyam. One Mahavakyam he assigned to each mat. Every mat has got their Mahavakyam. That is, it is the like the it is like the emblem, or it is like the emblem. Each it's not that they mat accept only that Mahavakyam. He assigned each Mahavakyam from 4 Vedas, 4 centers, 4 corners of India, and 4 Vedas are there. So each Mahavakyam, one Mahavakyam from each Veda. There are many Mahavakyams. All the Mahavakyams convey the same meaning because the 4 Mahavakyas are famous. Therefore, he assigned Mahavakyam from each Veda to each mat, yes, which he established at 4 corners of Bharatavarsha. You have to note here, Mahavakyam, as I said, there are many Mahavakyams. It is not only 4. And also the meaning of Mahavakyam of one Upanishad is not different from the other Upanishad. Mahavakyam means all the Mahavakyams convey the same meaning only. Otherwise, it is not Mahavakyam. It cannot be Mahavakyam. It becomes Alpavakyam. When the Mahavakyam of the Upanishads contradict each other, then it is it cannot be called Mahavakyam. All Mahavakyams convey the same meaning, whether it is in the form of the short sentence or in the form of a long sentence. Mahavakyam is Mahavakyam. Aikyartha Bodhaka Vakyam Mahavakyam. That Vakyam, that sentence which convey the Aikyam, the oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. That is Mahavakyam. So, for sample Mahavakyam, from each Veda, one Upanishad, from each Veda, from each Upanishad, a sample Mahavakyam is taken and it is given to each mat. For example, Prajnanam Brahma, it is one famous Mahavakyam. This Mahavakyam occurs in Aitareya Upanishad. Aitareya Upanishad belongs to Rig Veda. The Rig Veda Aitreya Upanishad is there. And Prajnanam Brahma is it one Mahavakyam. So this is the Mahavakyam of Govardhana Mutt. Govardhana Mutt, which is in Puri, east of Bharatavarsha, east of India. East there is Govardhana Mutt, and their Mahavakyam is Prajnanam Brahma. Similarly, Tattvamasi, this Mahavakyam, it is in Chandogya Upanishad. Very famous Mahavakyam. It is in Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad belongs to Samaveda. This is a Mahavakyam of Sarada Mutt. Sharada Mutt, which is located in Dwaraka in Gujarat, west of India. So, east and west. East is Prajnanam Brahma. West is Tattvamasi. And in the Mandukya Upanishad, the Mahavakyam, Ayam Atma Brahma is there. Ayam Atma Brahma Mahavakyam. Ayam we know. Idam Shabdasya Pratama Vibhakti Ekavachana Rupam Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahma. This Mahavakyam, it is there in Mandukya Upanishad, and Mandukya Upanishad belongs to Atharvaveda. And this Mahavakyam is the Mahavakyam of Jyotirmat of Badrinath, north of India. In the north, Badrinath is, Jyotirmat is located. Place Badrinath, there the name of the Mat is Jyotirmat. They have the Mahavakyam, Ayam Atma Brahma. And in the south, we have the famous Sringeri Mat, whose Mahavakyam is Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Brahma Asmi, that Mahavakyam, it is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which belongs to Yajurveda. So, Prajnanam Brahma, that is from Rig Veda, Aitreya Upanishad, that is the Mahavakyam of Govardhana Mutt. Tattvamasi, which is in Chandogya Upanishad of Samaveda, which is the Mahavakyam of the Sharada Mutt, which is in Gujarat. Ayam Atma Brahma, which is the Mahavakyam of Mandukya Upanishad, which is in Atharvaveda, which is the Mahavakyam of Jyotirmat of Badrinath. And in the south, Sringeri Mutt, Aham Brahmasmi, the Mahavakyam, which is present in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which belongs to Yajurveda. So four famous Mahavakyams assigned to four great mutts established by Shankara Bhagavad Pada. All the Mahavakyams, they convey the same meaning. As I told, there are many Mahavakyams. These are the four famous Mahavakyams. Prajnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. All the Mahavakyams, they teach only one thing. What is that? Jagat Karanam Brahma, Tam Asi. That which is Jagat Karanam, Brahma, Ishvara, it is you. There is no difference between you and Ishvara. Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya, Bodhaka Vakyam. That is Mahavakyam. It reveals the identity, essential identity between Jiva and Ishvara, in spite of having the opposite Dharma, Viruddha Dharma Kranta. Even though there are opposite attributes, still there is identity. That is why it is called Mahavakyam. Akhandartha Bodhaka, Abhedartha Bodhaka, Aikyartha Bodhaka Vakyam. The Vakyam which reveals the meaning of divisionlessness. That is identity, essential identity between Jiva and Ishvara. The Jiveshvara Beda, that is accounts for the samsara. It's a mistake. That is the mistake Jiva commits. That's why he suffers. That is why samsara is there for the Jiva. In the wake of Jnanam, this Veda goes away. This Veda, which is a misconception, which is an error committed by Jiva, goes away in the wake of Jnana. Therefore, Jiveshwara Veda is because of Ajnanam. Jiveshwara Abheda because of Jnana. In the wake of Jnanam, Jiveshwara Veda is knocked off, and Jiveshwara Abheda Jnanam, when it is gained, samsaraha nivartate. And this is the knowledge which all the Upanishads teach. Therefore, to understand the Tattvaryam of the Upanishads, one has to do vichara. Vicharaha kartavyaha. Avichara siddha is Jiveshwara yogo vedaha, veda buddhihi. That is vichara siddha. For that, we don't have to do any inquiry. Why inquiry is required? Because there is Veda Buddhi. Veda Buddhi, naturally it is there because of this, the attributes, the limitations. And the limitations, are they real? They are not real. They are seemingly real. Therefore, inquiry to be done. The difference is because of the Mithya Upadhi, Anatma. Taking the Anatma Mithya Upadhi to be real, appreciating the difference between Jiva and Ishvara is the cause for samsara. Therefore, vicharaha kartavyaha, inquiry to be done. So when you do inquiry, you drop the Mithya Upadhi Anatma. When you drop the Mithya Upadhi Anatma, how you drop? You cannot drop it physically. You have to drop it at the not at the physical level. Physical level, you cannot drop the Upadhi as Mithya. Upadhi, even though you enjoy the Upadhi, but you understand. Understanding is dropping. You cannot physically drop the Mithya Upadhi, Anatma, but you understand this Anatma. Anatma is I am, but I am not Anatma. That is, understanding is dropping. Dropping to arrive at Aikyam. So, still you may enjoy Anatma, but you are not confined by Anatma. Anatma is myself, but I am not Anatma. So, therefore, Shastra Vichara in the form of studying, thinking, analyzing, all these things to be done. Therefore, Vichara Siddhaha. This is arrived at. This Aikyam is arrived at by Vichara. Through Vichara, you drop this Mithya Upadhi, Anatma. So, since there are various views with regard to the individual and the total, Jivatma and Paramatma, various views and our experiences also, which lead to the wrong conclusions, and sometimes it leads to doubts and misconception. Therefore, we have to do inquiry and arrive at the right conclusion as revealed by the Shastram, which is the intended teaching of the Shastram and the Guru. Therefore, study, inquiry, that is important, only by which the misconception is a cause for samsara. Non-understanding is a cause for samsara. Samsara is not located anywhere. It is located inside, in the buddhi, in the form of wrong conception, wrong thinking, erroneous perception, erroneous thinking. That is samsara. When the erroneous knowledge goes away, samsaraha nivartate. So, therefore, the difference between a samsari and jnani, it is only in jnanam. presence of jnanam or absence of jnanam. That is why it is discussed. Shastra vicharaha. That's what vichara we do in the class. So, therefore, what is the solution for samsara? The solution for samsara is in correcting our conclusion, the wrong conclusion. The wrong conclusion is Veda Buddhi. Therefore, this Veda Buddhi to remove this wrong conclusion, the Veda Buddhi, we have to study Shastram. Study Shastram regularly and systematically. And this teaching is what is present at the end of the Veda, and that is called Vedanta. Vedanam Antaha, Vedantaha, otherwise called Upanishad. So in the last portion of the Veda, where we find the teaching in the form of inquiry to understand the aikyam of Jivatma and Paramatma. So only by vichara, this abhedam, this advaitam can be understood. When we say abhedam, advaitam, it doesn't mean that there are the differences at the empirical level will resolve. The Vyavaharika level, all the differences will resolve. No, it doesn't mean that. At the Vyavaharika level, differences are there. Differences will be there, but those differences are nitya. You will be able to appreciate the difference as nitya. If you are not able to appreciate the difference as nitya, and if you appreciate Advaita, then that also will become a problem. Then you will say that myself and Ishvara are same, therefore I don't have to go to the temple. In spite of non-difference, I appreciate Ishvara and myself playing a certain role in the order as a seemingly limited jiva. I invoke the all-pervading Ishvara in a Vigraha, in a Murti, and to him I offer puja and prayers, knowing very well that Ishvara is non-separate from the creation, which includes me. That is the vision of the rishis. Therefore, going to the temple, it's not a problem for an Advaiti. This is another serious wrong thinking. Because we are Advaiti, should we go to the temple? Because you're Advaiti, you have to go to the temple. Because an Advaiti only can really appreciate Ishvara, Bhagavan, even in the Murti. For him, everything is Bhagavan. So what is the problem in worshipping the Bhagavan in a Vigraha, in a Murti? So, therefore, we need to understand what is this Mithya. So, in the empirical world, in the Vyavaharika world, the difference is appreciated, but difference is knowing very well it is Mithya. Knowing very well it is Mithya. So, therefore, an Advaitin only can have the devotion, real devotion. Bhakti in the form of appreciating everything as Bhagavan. And the same Bhagavan is present in the Vigraha, in the Murti, in the temple. Therefore, the Jnanam is Bhakti. Advaitam, the Jnanam is Bhakti. That Jnanam is Aikya Jnana. And that is what the Mahavakyam reveals. Jivatma and Paramatma, they are really one Atma. So Veda is negated, Abheda. Abheda is revealed. And it is called Mahavakyam equation, great equation. Why do we need an equation? Equation is required only when certain things are not evident. When you say 4 is equal to 4, it's an equation. But is it really an equation? You don't need an equation to say the thing which is on the left hand side is equal to right hand side when there is an obvious or very clear, the same thing. The same thing is present. 4 is equal to 4. It is evident. So you don't have to equate. The figure on the left hand side is 4. The figure on the right hand side also 4. So you don't need an equation to establish the fact 4 is equal to 4. We don't say 4 is equal to 4. It is obvious. It is. Why do we need an equation? Equation is required only when there is a seemingly difference between the right hand side and the left hand side. You cannot say 4 is equal to 5 because the difference is obvious. Therefore, you cannot say 4 is equal to 5. 4 is equal to 4, that is obvious. Therefore, also equation is not required. So when do you need an equation? Equation is required when the figure on the left hand side and right hand side are seemingly different but equal. Equation is not required when the figure on both the left hand side and right hand side are equal. Equation is required when the figure on the left hand side and right hand side, they are seemingly different, but result is equal. So therefore, we have an equation only when there are seeming differences between the two sides. So when we say 2 plus 2 is equal to 3 plus 1, the figure on the left hand side, it is 2 plus 2. And on the right hand side, 3 plus 1. The numerals are different. In spite of the difference, equation is possible. The differences are not real. 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 1 also is 4. Therefore, you are equating. Even though the numerals, the figures are different, but differences are not real. The differences are superficial. So, similarly here also, when we say Jivatma and Paramatma, when they are evidently identical, then we don't need an equation. When they are evidently identical, then Shastra need not come and teach. When Jivatma and Paramatma are evidently identical, there is no samsara, then there is Shastra. Shastram is required only to remove samsara, to remove ajnana. When I have the knowledge that Aham Brahma Asmi, then there is no need of equation. Then the Jivatma and Paramatma are evidently identical, no equation required. Evidently different, then also no equation not required. Like the Murari, the story. When they are evidently different, then also equation is not required. We need equation because Jivatma and Paramatma are seemingly different. Why they are seemingly different? Because of the difference in Upadhi. Because of the difference in Upadhi, they are seemingly different. But really speaking, both are one and the same. Therefore, only Vedanta walks in and gives this solution that Jivatma is equal to Paramatma. The difference is because of Nitya. The Nitya is Anatma. So dropping the Anatma at the Atma level, the level of Atma, Paramarthika level, both are same. Therefore, we need an equation. Jivatma is equal to Paramatma. When we say Jivatma, dropping the attributes of Jivatma, Atma, similarly dropping the attributes of Paramatma, only Atma. So Atma is everywhere. That is what is there is only Atma. Therefore, only we need equation. So that equation is called, that which presents this Aikyam is called Mahavakyam. That Mahavakyam, therefore, Mahavakyam should be understood to mean as a great equation which equates Jivatma and Paramatma. And Tattvabodha is one of the famous Mahavakyam. It is Upadesha Vakyam because it is revealed by Shastram. What is revealed by this Mahavakyam is only taught in the form of the teaching by the teacher to the student. So the whole Shastram, Veda talks about, Upanishad, Vedanta talks about this Mahavakyam only, presents the Mahavakyam, presents the teaching of the Mahavakyam very elaborately. It is not just it takes this Mahavakyam and just says and stops. No, this Mahavakyam is elaborated. Jiva Swarupa is presented, Ishvara Swarupa is presented, how it is Aikyam. Finally, it says that that is you. The teaching culminates in this Mahavakyam. Teaching, each Upanishad adopts different prakriya, different methods, finally to culminate in the teaching. This teaching is Aikyam only. So Aikyam is the Upadesha, is a teaching. That alone is the Mahavakyam, the form of Mahavakyam, the Upanishad presents. So in the Mahavakyam Tattvamasi, Tat refers to Paramatma. Who created this Jagat? Who created this Jagat is the Srishtikarta, and he is the one who maintains this Jagat, sustains the Jagat, and is responsible for the harmony and the order in the creation. It is he only makes a planet move, makes all the planets move around the sun, and all the order what you see in the Jagat is because of this Bhagavan Ishvara. It is he only who ordains all the karma palam to the beings in keeping with their karma. There is an order. There is no indifference in the order of Ishvara. The one who has done the karma will get the karma pala. There is an order. So everyone will get what he deserves. So Bhagavan is the karma pala, data, and therefore there is an orderliness in the creation, in the kingdom of Bhagavan. You can see the orderliness, and he is what is referred to by the word Tat. The word Tat refers to Ishvara. Similarly, the Tvam in the Mahavakya refers to the individual, the Jivatma, who always struggle, and who has got the whole world to rule over him, and who has a sense of this incompleteness, insecurity, and who works the whole life seeking fulfillment. That individual is referred to by the word Tvam. So Tat Padam and Tvam Padam, both are Padam. And the Padam Asi means R. So the equation Tat, the Paramatma, Tvam, the Jivatma, Asi, R. So you are that, you referring to Jivatma, and you are that Paramatma. So this Vakyam, Abhedabodhaka Vakyam, the sentence which reveals the knowledge of non-difference, the Aikyam, which reveals the oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. So therefore, you are God, you the Jivatma or Paramatma. This is what the Shastram says. So when a student listens to the Mahavakyam for the first time in life, definitely he will laugh. He will think, how can I be Paramatma? This is a blasphemy. Bhagavan is all-powerful, he is omnipotent, he is omnipresent. And I am a small creature, a powerless person, a limited person, limited in all ways. How can I be equated to Paramatma? So, therefore, only student referring to the attribute of Jivatma, Sahankaraha Kinchitnyasya Jivasya. Strong individuality is there. The student has got the individuality ego. And therefore he says, how can I be Sarvajnasya Ishvarasya Paramatma? Paramatma is omniscient, is omnipotent. The differences between me, the Jivatma, and Ishvara are so clear. Katam Abheda Buddhi Syat. How can there be Abheda Buddhi? How can there be the vision of equality between them? Tattvamasi iti Mahavakyat Katam Abheda Buddhi Syat. By listening to the Mahavakyam, Tattvamasi, how can there be the vision of non-difference, equality? Ubayogo Jivatma Paramatma Yogo Viruddha Dharma Akrantatvat. Paramatma having greater attributes, superior attributes, and Jiva-atma having inferior attributes. How can they be equal? They have got totally diagonally opposite attributes. Therefore, how can this Mahavakya be accepted? So, even though the student have got respect for the words of the Shruti and the teacher, but I cannot accept this oneness. Student cannot accept the oneness between Tvam and Tat because the difference are obvious for him. Therefore, only dialogue. Dialogue encourages the student to raise all questions, all possible doubts, and gets clarified. That's why our Shastram is Jnana Pradana Shastram. Yeah, Shastram is Jnana Pradana. It doesn't just gives you some belief. So Tattvamasi is not a belief. It is not a dogma. It is not a statement to believe. It is the fact. It is knowledge. Because knowledge is involved, therefore only inquiry. Knowledge is opposite to our perceptual knowledge. Knowledge, what the Shastram teaches, is opposite to our perceptual knowledge. Therefore only teaching. Because there is obvious contradiction between Jiva and Ishvara, therefore when the teacher uses when the teacher says Tattvamasi, then the teacher is contradicting unless the students understand the teacher, the Shastram, understand understands and have Shraddha on the teacher and the Shastram, then unless he won't be able to accept. So therefore, giving the benefit of the doubt to the teacher and the Shastram, the student now asking this question shows his interest in wanting to learn what it means. So that's why he says Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi iti, the Vakyam also he quotes. Therefore, because he quotes, therefore, what the teacher has to do now, teacher has to analyze the padam of the Mahavakya. So now analyze the meaning of the word Tvam. That is called Tvam Pada Vicharaha. Similarly, analyze the meaning of the word Tat. That is Tat Pada Vicharaha. Whatever you identify with as Atma, it becomes you. You identify with the body, therefore the body becomes the meaning of the word Tvam. If you take the meaning of the word Tvam to be the body, then it is definitely limited. But here the Shastram says there is another meaning of the word Tvam. Tvam referred to that which is invariable, which is different from the three shariram, which is different from the five koshas. That artha, that meaning is called lakshyartha. So the meaning of the word Tvam, what the student took literally was this Sharira Manasangata. But what the Shastra means is that which doesn't vary in spite of the varying the kosha, in spite of the varying upadhi, that which doesn't vary. The Lakshyartha is what is indicated by the word Tvam. So Shastram, from the standpoint of Lakshyartha, Shastram says there is no difference between you and Ishvara. There is Abheda, there is Aikya. And that is what the author is going to say now. So Tvam Pada Vichara, Tvam Pada Vachyartha and Tvam Pada Lakshyartha. Both he will say. First he will clarify Tvam Pada. He will read that. So objection being raised and the Acharya now answers. We can repeat. The first one is objection. Objection, the answer to that objection is Na.
न
Stula Sharira Abhimani.
सूक्ष्म शरीर अभिमानी
Tvam Pada Vachyarthaha.
त्वं पदवाच्यार्थः
Upadi Vinirmuktam.
उपाधि विनिर्मुक्तं
Samadhi Dasha Sampannam.
समाधि दशा संपन्नम
शुद्धं चैतन्यं
शुद्धं चैतन्यम
त्वं लक्ष्यार्थः
त्वं पद लक्ष्यार्थः.
So what is the vachyartha of tvam and what is the lakshyartha of tvam? It is being elaborated here. Na is negating what the student said. Na, that is जीवेश्वरयोगो कथम अभेद बुद्धिः स्यात् उभयोः धर्म आक्रान्तत्वात् इति चेत् न. If that is your objection, then the teacher says no, it is not correct. Na. Direct meaning of the word tvam is one who is identified with stula sukshma sharira. Stula sukshma sharira abhimani tvam pada vachyartha. That is vachyartha. The vachya means the word, the meaning of the word, the direct meaning of the word tvam. If you take literal meaning of the word tvam, it refers to that the one who is identified with stula and sukshma shariram. Whereas the lakshyartha, the meaning, the implied meaning of the word tvam is shuddha chaitanyam. It is pure consciousness. Why it is pure? It is free from anatma. It is only atma, shuddha chaitanya, free from upadhi. That is why shuddha. Upadhi ragita shuddha chaitanya. Upadhi vinirmuktam. Vinirmuktam means free. Upadhi is mithya. Not the chaitanyam always as for the manifestation of this chaitanyam, upadhi is written. But upadhi is not an attribute of chaitanya. Upadhi vinirmuktam. So, therefore, shuddha chaitanyam is lakshyartha. The Tvampada Vachyartha is Tula Sukshma Sharira Abhimani. Tvampada Lakshyartha is Shuddha Upadhi Vinirmuktam Shuddha Chaitanyam. So, Vachyartha, if you take the Vachyartha, then Tattvamasi, the Vakyam is not correct. If you take Lakshyartha, that Vakyam, that Abeda, then only Abeda Aikyam is, Abedam is. If you take Vachyartha, then there is Bedam only. Therefore, there cannot be Abeda Buddhi. So, Abeda, you cannot arrive at Abeda Buddhi by Tvampada Vachyartha, where the Veda is obvious. You can arrive at Abeda Buddhi only by Lakshyartha. So, you have to take the Lakshyartha, the implied meaning of the word Tvam. Don't take the literal meaning of the word Tvam. That is why Vichara is required. That is why the inquiry. What is Tvam? What is the meaning of the word Tvam? That is to be analyzed. So, Lakshyartha, the implied meaning of the word Tvam, dropping the Upadhi. Dropping the Upadhi, what is left after dropping the Upadhi? That is Shuddha Chaitanya. Upadhi Ragita Shuddha Chaitanyam. That is what the meaning of the word Tvam. Similarly, at the Samashti level, if you take Tattvabodha, then the equation is understandable. Then the Abeda is understandable. Advaita is understandable. That is what the Acharya here is going to say. Is going to present Vachyartha and Lakshyartha of Tvampada and Tattvabodha. That is the discussion that we will see. We will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवादः गुरुजी.
धन्यवादः
धन्यवादः गुरुजी.
धन्यवादः.
धन्यवादः गुरुजी.
How are you, Ji?